50 years living here. Danza Azteca, Tonantzin de Analco. Tonantzin means Mother Earth. Analco is the first barrio, the first neighborhood here in Santa Fe that when the Spanish came up, there were about over 1,000 slaves that were Tlaxcalan Indians and other natives from Mexico, and they established the Barrio Analco, which is still here. And so we danced there. We started our group there in that little area right next to the river. And so I'm really proud of my danzantes. I also, besides going to Wirikuta with my Huichol familia, have been a part of the Native American Church for over 40 years. My husband, who is now deceased, along with my sister Anita, who was his first wife, was a roadman in the Native American Church. And we had services here for many years before he passed on. So those are my 3 ceremonial paths. I want to welcome you, my relatives. And I call you my relatives because we all share the waters. We all share the Mother Earth. We all share the breath. We all share the fire. And in my practice, I usually always set up an altar with my clients or patients. And I always have one here in my home as well. And every element that I just said, is always on the altar. And I call that the heart of my home, the heart of all of us, the heart of the earth, the heart of the fire, the heart of the water, the heart of the breath, which we carry in our own hearts. And that's what makes us relatives. And that's why I call you my relatives. My work, on this introduction is somatic and ritual. And somatic basically means the body. It just means the body. And when I went to Wirikuta, that's what the gods told me, is that I was connected to the earth and that I would be working with the body. We have one of our names for the Creator is the giver of movement and measure. The measure of who we are, of our beautifully created bodies, is what we can see. Everything has a measurement in this physical world. The table that I'm sitting at, the chair, we can see it, we can feel it. And so what I do in my work is I get to the measurement, the detailed measurements of your body. If you tell me I can't do this, something's holding me back, then I will ask you, what is that can't? What is it in your body? And I don't want, I really invite you to put your mind aside and really go to your body and really feel it. Describe it to me. The more detailed you can be with that I can't, then we can do something with our movement, which is, our movement is our breath, our movement is our energy, our movement is our spirit that is connected to everything. There is nothing that our movement is not connected to. So when I hear my sisters saying, we're all capable of healing, we're all capable of this movement, yes, we're connected to everything through our movement. And to the measurement of who we are. So I combine the philosophy of our danza, which is about movement, but is also about the measurement of our own being, because the dance steps are very measured and they make us feel the measurement of us in this movement of the circle, in the movement of the cosmos. So the work is not in your mind, it's in the measurement of your being. And that's not easy, because we're not socialized to feel. We're actually socialized to get over it, to forget. Maya and I were just talking about remembering. There's a reason why we can't remember many parts of our lives, especially the traumatic, because it's a physiological event in your body that protects you from remembering. So I bring a person back into their body, not by trying to remember, that's up here, but by feeling and awakening the pains in your body. I always begin, though, with the sweetness in your body, because remembering a pain or feeling grief or feeling sad or feeling angry, it comes to us in a second. Again, a physiological reaction of our lizard brain, of our animal being. It's really easy for us to feel anger. But to really feel the sweetness in our lives, to really stop and feel like, it reminds me of when I'm sitting in a restaurant by myself, because it's only when I can do that, and tasting each bite, the way I see the colors, the way it goes into my mouth, the way I feel about making myself feel special, you know? So I always begin with the sweetness, the blessings in our life. I had a veteran in a workshop get triggered by the work we were doing, and he immediately went into, the trauma of his war days. And the other students were able to watch me go up to that person and say, "Tell me one thing in your life that you just absolutely love." And within a second, he said, "My daughters." And I said, "Okay, take a moment, feel your daughters. Remember when they were born." And just by that action of remembering the sweetness in his life, it stopped that flow of the fear. He was able to activate that sweetness. There's a term that we use, and that's to uncouple. Well, coupling is this. Uncoupling is being separate. And that's what most of us do in life. We feel the sweetness, but then we feel the guilt. We feel the happiness, but oh no. Learning to uncouple them and feel them one at a time, and really rejoicing just in the sweetness, that's your anchor. That's your grounding. And getting detailed with it and going to where it is and really saying, There's a soft blanket in my chest. For me, I had a very traumatic childhood. I spent one summer with my grandmother. One summer. But that was my anchor my whole life. My grandmother, before we crossed the border. It still brings emotion to me, the feeling that I have of her love and validation and care. Every single one of us has that sweetness in us, no matter how hard our lives have been. Working with a young woman that was raped when she was young, continuously raped. I don't have anything, nothing, nothing was sweet. And as I worked on her, because I'm also a massage therapist and I work on the body to find the sweetness, it came up. It came up from the body, not from here. And that's what we're working for. She said, there used to be a road, a dirt road, and there were flowers on the side of that dirt road. And all of a sudden, her arms weren't hard like this. They were soft. And we worked on teasing that out. Again, it's not easy to feel, really feel. I mean, I've heard many words in these past days. You know, choose what we can and take in, trust. If we don't have a safe childhood, we can't trust. What I find is when we go through an overwhelming moment, and we call it a susto in Spanish, your body wants to fight, run, or it freezes. That's physiologically what happens when we come to an overwhelming moment. Freezing saves you because you can't fight your perpetrator and you can't run because you might get killed or you might get further hurt. So freezing saves you. But what happens afterwards? The child runs outside. I used to run to the trees. I used to run to a little hiding place. I used to go up on the roof and look at the stars. For me, it was the water. The water was my safety. And so we have those. And again, it doesn't have to be a two-legged that saves us. It can be the plants, the grass, the trees, a four-legged. We just have to find that little opening. And it takes time because for most of us, we don't remember when we've been traumatized. And then we go to the pain. And then we go to the hurt. And I don't invite stories. Most of the clients and patients I have come in with some kind of illness. Yesterday I saw a woman with an autoimmune disease. Guess what? She was angry. I couldn't move her arms, couldn't move her neck. Those memories stay in our body, they stay in our cells. And my work is very, very slow. Very, very slow. I move your arm. And if I can't move that arm, guess what? This person is very hyper vigilant. And I'm not saying, I'm inviting them to feel the arm. Feel your arm, how hard it is. And then I invite them to, we did this earlier in another exercise where the person invited you to do it harder. Norma, with her exercise, with her letting the drop. When you do it hard, you notice it. But most of the time, we don't notice how tense we are because we're used to it. But if you make it tighter and tighter and tighter, then you go, okay, what your body finally goes. That's what I'm inviting the patient to do, to let the body do what it feels like it needs to do. So if I get a patient that's arms are hard, what do you want to do with that? If your arm could do what it wanted to do, what would it do? I remember a woman whose husband left her after 39 years. It was spontaneous. I want to slug my husband. And I said, that's right. That's what you want to do. But if I worked with her longer, I only saw her once. What would happen is we'd go back to childhood. I sometimes joke and say, my work is just teaching people how to feel their anger. But when we're children, we don't have control. Others do. And like my mother, she had a hole in her heart. And I will admit, I didn't have that connection with my children when they were little growing up because I didn't know how. And I'll tell you, the body, and this is going to be hard to believe, the body does not distinguish between degrees of trauma. We do, but our body every time will feel that adrenaline. I'm going to die. I need to fight. I need to run. And it's very slow, slow work. And I only take the client up until that's all they can handle. And then I bring them back to their sweetness. So it's really important to establish an anchor first in yourself if you want to do this work on yourself. And then go back. And what we're looking for is to get to that moment, that susto. I like to liken it to an arrow that's been shot into you. We're looking for that arrow in you. And it takes very slow titration and pendulation, which are terms in somatic experiencing, to get to it. When you get to it, watch out, because you're going back to a moment where huge amounts of energy were shut down, frozen. And what do you think that energy wants to do when you come to it? Because you can go back and get to that exact moment. I can do it when I'm moving a neck very slowly, because the neck always remembers the event in the eyes, in the muscles. You will open up huge amounts of energy, because we all know that if you see a child under a car and you're the mother, you can pick up that car. We have incredible, incredible strength, but we're shut down. I had a man that was walking down the streets, and someone was walking down the street stabbing people. When I took him back to that moment, he launched out, came from the body, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for it coming from the body. The body doesn't know time. When you're triggered and feeling something, you're right back at being a 5-year-old. People say, forget it. It happened so long ago. The feeling, you're a 5-year-old in that feeling. Feelings aren't right or wrong. Anger isn't bad. It's your will to live. It's what we do with it that might cause us trouble. And a lot of people right now are very, very angry in our world. Imagine generational trauma. My sister Norma was talking about, the generations. It passes down. It passes down. Sometimes when I'm working on someone's cervical vertebrae and moving, it's pre-verbal. It might be in the womb, or it might have been your mother's anger, like World War II, or with our Native people, or with our Black brothers and sisters. The fear. I had an elder from one of the pueblos that was extremely scoliosis, extreme scoliosis. When we worked with her, she recalled that her father used to hit her mother when her mother was pregnant with her. Can you imagine where that child can't go anywhere? Can't go anywhere. So these things do get passed down, the feelings in your cells, in your memories. Yesterday, again, with my autoimmune client, I've worked on her for years, and I knew that she had fallen off a swing when she was a little girl. And so we worked on that, and seemed like it was okay. And she called me again a few months ago. She says she's been waking up with susto in the night. Well, we went back and worked with her neck. It turned out that the rope of the swing had caught around her neck, and she had not remembered. So she was waking up every night. I called the cervical vertebrae the line of first defense, because that's where your amygdala is. That's where your lizard brain is. That's where everything goes first. Your fright, your susto, your trauma goes there, and it sends energy to the rest of your body, well, hormones and other. Um, so I work the neck a lot. And I feel like with touch, I don't know how it's like for me, where a safety container is made with the client. And so, can't think. Um, the original trauma is to disconnect. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking to go back to the pain, because if you cannot reach that pain and that vulnerability, we can't be ourselves. We can't be our authentic selves. So I'm going to do the exercise that I do with my clients. And usually I have a really comfortable chair for them. And so I'm inviting you to get as comfortable as you can. This is not a meditation. This is not going into your mind. This is really inviting you to go into your bodies. And I caution that, it's not easy. Some of us might get a little triggered. And I invite you in this circle of safety to let us know. Yeah. So, Maya, it might be easier if your legs were open, so the energy yeah. And when you're on the floor, I usually have like a pillow underneath your knees. Your knees are incredible places of power. Your wrists are incredible places of power. This is where stress stays. Your knees, your neck. So, uh, so these places, I always put pillows under your neck, under your knees, so that you really can let go. And I know it's difficult doing this where we are, but do the best that you can. So feel your feet. Feel your feet. And I invite every move to be really slow so that you can really feel the muscles, the bones, your bones. Carry memory. Feel your feet. Feel your ankles. Feel your legs, your thighs, your calves. Feel your hips. Feel your butt on the floor, the chair, making a connection. Feel your back. Your tummy, your chest, your shoulders, your arms, hands, fingers. Feel your neck, your head. I invite you now to find one place in your body that feels okay. Okay might mean really nice, or it can mean it doesn't feel anything, but it doesn't feel bad. One place. I invite you to make a relationship with that okayness. What does it really feel like? If you were holding it in your hands, what would it feel like to your fingertips? What would it weigh? How big or small would that okay be? Does it remind you of anything, of anyone, a place? Feel that okayness. I now invite you to go to a place that's not okay. One place. And again, if you were holding it, what would that not okay be like? Would it be hard? Would it be hot, fiery? Is it painful? What size is it? Does it bring a memory or a vision or a thought? Again, I invite you to go back to your okay place. Tap now to watch a short video. You'll receive 30 minutes of ad-free music. Feel that again. Yes. Notice if it's changed or shifted or grown. Your okay place. And remember where it is. That to-do list you have needs one. You might want to go back to it. It's an easy thing to do. Just crack open an ice cold Coors Light. Again, feel your feet. Feel your toes. Your calves. Your thighs. Your hips. Your butt. And the chair. Your back. Your stomach. Your chest. Your shoulders. Your arms. Hands, fingers, neck, head. I invite you to move your neck just a little bit back and forth, slowly, noticing where there's holds, And if you do find a hole, just stay with it. Noticing if it slow, 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 move your head slow. And straighten. Bring it back. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Look around. Look around the space that you're in. Orient. That's what animals do.
Oh, oh my
Ben.
God.
Sorry. So I'm going to invite you to get up now. Place your right hand on your heart. Feel your heartbeat. Feel your heartbeat. Feel your chest. Feel your arms. This is you. This is the measurement of who you are. With your left foot, I invite you to just lift it and stomp lightly on the earth. Lightly on the earth. You're making a statement that this is your beautifully created being. This is you. You're making a statement to Creator, to the earth, that this is who you are. We do this as we face east. I invite you to turn 4 times to the left in place. I invite you to just 4 times. Now 4 times to the right. Okay, you can sit. That is to signify your place on this earth and in the cosmos, to the 4 directions. The omateo, the duality when you go back and forth. That's a part of our dance, the philosophy of our dance. And I use that as well. So take a moment You can only, I tell people, you can only really feel for seconds at a time before our mind starts to kick in. It's not easy. But I went back and forth because that's a practice you can do to uncouple those feelings. I do this at nighttime for myself. I get as comfortable as I can on the bed, supine. Every place of tension I will lift. I will put a pillow underneath so I don't feel it, the tension. And I first make sure that I feel safe, that I feel comfortable. I remind myself of the beautiful things that happened that day. And then I go to where I'm hurting. Because it's no accident that you're hurting. There's no accidents that you got in an accident. I worked on my client's daughter last night who was just in an accident, and we were able to bring that susto to release because she was still carrying it inside. She was just in an accident. So all of that is in your body. And the more we make a relationship with our own self, and like everyone has been saying, the pain and the traumas that we've gone through in our life, the more resilient we can be when we feel them, the more resourced we can be when we feel them. Most of us put them away, and then when they hit us, they're an extreme. So we go from extreme of being happy, extreme of being, you know, depressed and crazy. So there's these two extremes. When we learn how to be with both of them, when we're triggered, they're not so overpowering. You know, we talk about body, mind, and spirit. And, you know, these days, someone mentioned woo-woo, you know, woo-woo, spirituality, you know. It's like we're trying so hard to be spiritual, but we are a part already of everything. My sessions are called medicine helpers because I'm the helper. The medicine is all around us. My aunt Guadalupe used to say, she says, the spirits are all around us, just waiting for us to ask them for help. Why don't we ask them for help? Because we don't have a relationship with them. We have to develop a relationship with them, just as we have to develop a relationship with our own being. Believe me, when you start feeling your body, you can't go back to not feeling it. It opens up and it opens up and it opens up. I couldn't remember my childhood till I was at least 45, until I started taking the somatic experiencing. They say you get a new nervous system and you'll be surprised about the sweetness that you start remembering. I couldn't remember anything good in my childhood, but they started bubbling up like little champagne bubbles. And then I was like, oh, my childhood wasn't all bad. I couldn't remember the bad, I couldn't remember the good. And that's when you don't remember the bad, you can't remember the good. You know, because you're frozen to all of it. People, when they come in, it's like, well, I feel love. Well, where do you feel love? In my heart. Yeah, that's because that's what we're told. And the more detailed we get, when a person's frozen, they don't feel anything, and they feel, oh, I feel happy everywhere. I feel pain everywhere. The more detailed we get, the more we can open up those memories, and they start coming and opening up. I had a client when I was working on their neck that had an accident. He remembered that his mother had fallen when she was pregnant with him. That's happened several times in my practice, where they will remember that one little memory. Oh, my mother told me one time. I love this work. I've seen amazing things, and I combine prayer and ritual. I usually smudge the person. I chant. I pray over them. I combine it all.